Women in male-dominated fields. We all have seen the hashtags, but have we seen some practical examples? If not, then today's video is just for you. So without further delay, let's begin our recap. In the grand manor of House Barcy, a noble family of the Valley's kingdom, preparations for a ball are in full swing. Hosted by the Duke himself, the event has cast excitement over the women of the house, lifting their spirits to an unusually high level. A lady recalls that when the late Duchess was alive, a dazzling ball was held every year by the Duke, and she wonders aloud what this year's celebration will be like. Given the absence of women in the house, she muses, preparing for such an event must have been particularly challenging, and the current Duke must now navigate the task of finding a wife entirely on his own. The lady turns to her daughter, inquiring about Violet's impression of the Duke following their dance the previous night. Violet responds that he was a remarkable person, eliciting praise from her mother, who insists that the Duke is the most handsome bachelor on the market. Confident that Violet would be intrigued should the Duke choose her as a spouse, she has no reservations. Among all the women, everyone appears content. Everyone, that is, except the eldest daughter of House Barcy, Rose. Shaking her head, Rose reflects that sweet Violet is far too good for a man like the Duke. Their mother, however, pays her little mind, focusing instead on Rose's lack of prospects. For 3 long years, no suitor has approached her, and she admonishes Rose that this year she must secure a marriage, no matter the circumstances. The moment the words leave her mother's lips, Rose collapses, a harsh wave of illness sweeping over her. Violet immediately notices Rose's dangerously high fever, prompting their mother to become flustered and worried, especially considering the presence of so many distinguished gentlemen at the ball. Rena's sneezing grows severe, forcing their mother to instruct the butler to summon a doctor and ensure that Rose rests properly. In a flurry, she then reminds Violet to prepare to depart, as they are already running late. As the butler escorts Rose back to her room, a sense of satisfaction fills him. He feels a rare moment of peace, grateful for the chance to serve Rose, even amid the recent chaos. Once the butler departs, Rose begins to change into full gentleman's attire, her mind resolute that this transformation should suffice for her plan. The butler hesitates, questioning whether she truly intends to attend the ball. Aware that both her mother and Violet will be present, confrontation is inevitable. Rose, now dressed as a man, acknowledges the risk but remains steadfast. She expresses gratitude for the butler's concern, yet insists that her action is necessary. Maintaining the warmth and sustenance of her family requires it. Appearing as a man at the ball is far more practical than she had imagined. She reassures the butler that she intends to obtain the Duke's consent this time. This is her 5th life. She carries the memories of her previous lives with her, yet some cruel twist of fate has always prevented her from living past the age of 30. Born into nobility, she had hoped for a life of wealth and comfort, yet fate has consistently cast her in the role of the stereotypical failure among daughters. Even now, she struggles against the expectations of her station, navigating a path fraught with challenges. Upon reaching the entrance to the Duke's manor, Rose observes the long line of carriages stretching out ahead. She is informed that the journey to the door will take at least an hour. Resigned, she prepares to wait, a familiarity washing over her as she recalls her previous visit to the Duke's residence. The manor, almost rivaling the royal palace in size and grandeur, impresses her with its immensity. As her eyes sweep across the expansive gardens and the vast, meticulously maintained grounds, she wonders at the cost of sustaining such lavish beauty. Her whole body flinches instinctively when she hears the sound of a couple kissing nearby. A sound so joyful and intimate that it makes her feel both startled and uneasy. She has always forgotten that during the days of a ball, the garden becomes a secret haven for lovers to meet. She instinctively takes a step back, intending to retreat before anyone notices her presence. Yet, before she can make her escape, she collides with someone. Momentarily disoriented, she realizes it is the Duke himself. He addresses her as Baron, and she stumbles, on the verge of falling. Swiftly, the Duke steadies her, holding her firmly in his grasp. He remarks on the unexpected pleasure of her presence, his tone calm yet slightly teasing. The awkwardness escalates almost immediately as the distant sounds of another couple's intimate moment reach their ears. Overcome by embarrassment, she loses her balance and falls to the ground, utterly flustered by the scene unfolding around them. The Duke asks if she is all right, his concern genuine, though she struggles to hide her growing irritation and disdain. Rose's dislike for this man is deep-seated. Their first encounter 3 months ago had left a lasting impression, one far from favorable. She had been working late into the night when her butler gently advised her not to overexert herself. Unfazed, she had insisted that if she failed to manage her affairs properly, she would inadvertently create more work for him. The butler, recognizing the weight of her determination, fell silent. Her inquiry then turned to a pressing matter: the pending investment request in shipbuilding ventures. The butler delivered the disappointing news: the Duke had rejected their proposal. Rose, incredulous, demanded the reason, especially since a baron had been granted approval for a lesser sum. The butler explained, with careful hesitation, that the Duke had stated he did not accept investments from those who were not men. The rejection ignites a fire within her. In a world where women were expected only to be beautiful, attend balls, sip tea, and marry well, her ambition was considered irrelevant. Wealth, influence, and the ability to steer commerce were denied to her simply because of her gender. Society dictated that women live comfortably under the provision of men, yet Rose refused to accept such limitations. She reasoned that those who were capable and willing should not be barred from securing the resources necessary to thrive simply because they were women. A bold idea forms in her mind. She instructs her butler to submit the investment offer again, this time under the prestigious name of her late grandfather, Baron. It is a calculated move, one that could secure both her family's future and her own autonomy. Rose comes from a noble lineage with a remarkable family tree, yet after her grandfather's passing, there was no one to inherit the title. Her mother, being the sole child, could not pass the baronial legacy to Rose. Had she been born a son, she would have inherited the title and the associated wealth. The weight of this realization strengthens her resolve. The butler rushes to her side, anxious and curious about the audacity of her plan. Rose simply states that the investment must succeed. She thinks strategically. Violet will need to marry soon, and her younger sister Sasha must make her debut in high society. Their mother, meanwhile, is unlikely to marry into a prominent family, further emphasizing the need for careful planning. Rose recognizes that maintaining their noble status requires substantial funds. Last weekend, she had come to understand the immense financial responsibilities tied to living as a noble. The kingdom, until recently, lacked maritime enterprises, but a few years ago, the Duke had declared the establishment of a shipbuilding company, opening the venture to investors. It is an opportunity that promises success, one that Rose is determined to seize. She knows that acceptance as an investor is essential, not merely for profit, but for the future of her family. Back at the Duke's mansion, the letter bearing the name of an unfamiliar baron arrives. Intrigued, he notes that he has never heard of such a house before. A flicker of curiosity dances across his face as he considers the implications. This, he realizes, is going to be interesting. The Duke, already anticipating the encounter, sends a reply. He wishes to discuss the investment in person and requests that the Baron visit his manor in 4 days, awaiting a confirmation of attendance. Reading the Duke's letter, Rose can't help but make strange, almost comical expressions, a mixture of exasperation and amusement crossing her face. Her butler, noting her reaction, cautiously inquires what they should do next. She asks if he can go in her place, but he firmly refuses. Having met the Duke previously to discuss the warehouse's proposed investment, he would likely be recognized, making any substitution impossible. Rose considers the situation carefully. For now, she instructs him to reply that they will meet the Duke in 4 days and to seek out a trustworthy man to accompany him in the meantime. The butler hesitates, questioning whether such a solution will truly work. Rose reasons that if the Duke discovers that the Baron is actually a woman, he will undoubtedly reject the investment. Conversely, if he refuses a meeting request, he will grow suspicious. There must be a way to navigate this delicate situation. The day of the meeting arrives. The butler's anxiety intensifies as he watches Rose prepare to leave, shouting her name in disbelief. He pleads with her, insisting that the plan is far too dangerous. The Duke is no ordinary man. He is a knight, sharp-eyed and discerning beyond the capabilities of most. Rose calmly assures him that she has appeared in public like this before, and no one has recognized her. The butler admits she is right, but emphasizes that the Duke is exceptional, capable of seeing through deception. Rose shrugs, asking what else they could do. Finding a man who is not a noble yet, looks the part, has a trustworthy background, and can keep such a secret in only 4 days is impossible. Perhaps, she muses, the Duke will find her attempt commendable and accept the investment regardless. The butler exhales heavily, cautioning her to be careful, warning that the Duke's gaze may linger far longer than expected. Rose laughs at the admonition, teasing that if the Duke intends to kill her, he had better spare her family. The political landscape of the kingdom weighs on her mind. The king has grown too old to govern effectively, leaving the crown prince to oversee the state of affairs. His younger brother, once nearly invisible in the kingdom, has gradually earned recognition, leading the realm to victory in a recent war. The knight credited with guiding him to that triumph is none other than Duke Benji. Upon arriving at the Duke's residence, Rose gulps nervously as she is greeted. She bows, expressing her honor at meeting him. Their handshake feels charged with unspoken tension, the Duke's sharp eyes studying her hand with interest. He admits candidly that he has never heard of her family before. Rose responds, explaining that it is unsurprising. The family is on the brink of ruin, barely maintaining their position in the kingdom, and has had little time for socializing among other nobles. Curiosity piqued, the Duke asks about the source of her considerable wealth. Rose carefully explains that it is intelligence inherited from her half-sister's late husband. The Duke presses subtly, asking about her half-sister, and Rose guesses carefully, concerned that revealing too much could lead to recognition of her real family. She settles on a safe explanation, claiming it is the Viscounts Bussy, a family the Duke confirms he knows. He speaks respectfully of the family, noting the beauty of the mother and daughters, and mentioning that the eldest daughter is reputedly intelligent. Rose falters slightly, he knows too much, but laughs it off, claiming she has not seen her cousins in some time. The Duke expresses a desire to meet Rose personally, a statement that silences her for a moment. She ponders the implications. No matter how intelligent a woman may be, society values beauty above all, for the sake of advantageous marriages. She assumes the Duke shares this conventional view, so it surprises her to hear otherwise. The Duke asserts that he thinks differently, admiring her for managing her household in the absence of a male leader. This revelation piques Rose's interest, though confusion lingers. She had assumed he would disapprove of a woman heading her family. Sensing her surprise, the Duke asks if her interest in investing in his business stems from admiration for a young lady of her house. Rose flinches at the implication, hastily denying it, muttering a panicked, "No, no, no." She mentally scolds herself to regain composure. She cannot afford distraction. Securing the Duke's signature on the investment contract is her absolute priority. She expresses her conviction that investing in sea-related enterprises is a venture worth pursuing. The continent, she notes, has already reached the limits of its development, and now the time has come for ambitious individuals to turn their eyes toward the ocean, initiating a new age of discovery. Essential to this endeavor are strong, well-constructed ships, and since the venture falls under the auspices of the House of the Duke, there is no reason to hesitate. He interprets her words with quiet amusement, recognizing that her confidence in the business is inseparable from his own leadership. She affirms this, explaining that her willingness to invest stems entirely from her trust in him. He is struck by her evident passion for the sea, prompting her to elaborate on the complexities of shipbuilding. Large vessels, she explains, are exceptionally difficult to construct, requiring vast amounts of time, money, skill, and numerous other resources. It is a pursuit no ordinary person could undertake casually. Her explanation elicits a chuckle from him, accompanied by the remark that it has been quite some time since he has encountered someone as intriguing as her. She responds with a small, thoughtful laugh, accepting the compliment while maintaining a sense of reserved amusement. A fleeting curiosity about his reputed handsomeness prompts her to frame a question carefully, testing the bounds of their growing familiarity. He allows her to ask, leaving her words in her own hands while reserving the right to respond at his discretion. She proceeds with measured observation, noting that his capability alone would likely suffice to launch the business successfully. Her question arises naturally. If he requires no assistance, why then is he seeking investors? He responds indirectly, emphasizing that shipbuilding, as she herself has pointed out, is not an enterprise for the average individual. It is a matter of national significance, demanding oversight and collaboration that transcends the efforts of a single man. Her thoughts turn inward, considering the subtle political implications. Shipbuilding, while undeniably lucrative and alluring, could be perceived as a threat to the royal family if pursued solely by the Duke, likely prompting attempts to restrict his ambitions. Yet, when multiple noble investors are involved, the dynamic shifts entirely, transforming it into a venture that is politically and socially acceptable. She recognizes the nuance and expresses her understanding of the strategy he implies. The Duke then broaches the possibility of meeting with her again at a later date, a suggestion that leaves her momentarily startled and apprehensive. He inquires about her availability, proposing a hunting excursion. She internally wishes to refuse, but finds herself distracted by the unexpectedly large portion of steak before her, delaying her response. Despite her refusal to continue presenting herself as a man, the Duke persists in his invitations, each one subtly layered with expectation. The longer she maintains the pretense, the greater the risk that he will perceive the truth. Growing impatient for substantive discussion, she wonders when they might finally address the business itself. Observing her lack of enthusiasm for hunting, He comments on the stifling nature of the capital city compared to the freedom of the open sea, expressing a desire to visit her hometown someday. She responds with polite acquiescence, assuring him that he is welcome at any time and that she would be pleased to host him. His smile, a combination of quiet amusement and determination, conveys that her insistence only strengthens his resolve to visit. As the faint sound of rustling voices reaches them, he redirects her attention with a subtle gesture, asking her to remain discreet. In that moment, the tension of their conversation hangs delicately in the air, layered with curiosity, respect, and the unspoken intricacies of their slowly deepening acquaintance. He raises his weapon, takes careful aim, and with a single, precise shot, hits the target dead center. His men quickly move to retrieve the fallen game, while Rose's heart races uncontrollably. She had never imagined he could smile in such a way, an expression both confident and almost mischievous. The sight of them riding together, the wind stirring around them, brings a strange thrill. The Duke notes, with casual approval, that she rides better than he had expected. She offers a polite acknowledgement, but he meets her gaze, pausing for a moment before breaking into a wide, teasing grin. Now, side by side, they pause. He comments on her knowledge of the sea, noting the proximity of her territories to the coast. She admits familiarity, yet quickly tempers it with the insight that even a well-known sea can reveal entirely new mysteries, that what seems familiar can transform completely when approached with fresh eyes. The Duke, however, recognizes one undeniable fact. She possesses far more understanding of the sea than he ever could. It comes naturally to him. She had been a professional diver in a past life, a master of the waters. Turning to the matter of investors, she inquires if he has received responses. He confirms that he has, though he sheepishly admits he should have told her sooner, having been distracted by the enjoyment of their previous meeting. This confession stirs a flutter of frustration in her, but he continues, explaining that, as she had noted before, the other investors serve merely as supplementary support. He prefers numerous small investors rather than a few large ones, which makes her heart pound with unanticipated emotion. Does he realize the effort she poured into preparing her own contribution? He reassures her that the search for investors is already complete. Relief washes over her, and her heart soars. Clutching her water bottle tightly, she demands to know why. Then, he continued to summon her repeatedly. His explanation is simple, yet infuriating. At first, it was mere curiosity. He had never encountered someone willing to invest such a considerable sum, but the meetings themselves became an end he did not anticipate. However, the sight of her flushed, angry face reveals the oversight. He should have been forthright from the beginning. Rose, maintaining her composure as best she can, declares that she is fine, though she wishes to return to her hometown. There is no longer any reason to linger in the capital. She steps away, resolute, ignoring his gentle call that he hopes to see her again. Inwardly, she seethes. She realizes now that he never truly intended to accept her investment, yet continued to invite her solely to satisfy his curiosity. The thought ignites a storm of fury within her. She vows she never wants to see his face again. The next day brings an unwelcome reminder, an invitation from the Duke. He expresses a desire to speak earnestly about the investment matter and to apologize to her in person, requesting her presence at the upcoming ball, assuming she has not yet returned to her hometown. It is also an invitation to the Manor's grand ball, a formal affair laden with expectation. The butler hesitates, unsure how to respond, while Rose erupts into a scream of frustration, her anger boiling over. She is incandescent with rage, consumed by the thought of confronting the Duke once more, and can scarcely contain her wish to punish him for his audacity. Once she realizes the investment she has worked so hard to secure, she immediately severs ties with the Duke. Yet, despite her disdain for him, she feels compelled to have an honest conversation, prompted by the letter inviting her to the ball. She detests the man, fully aware that even a brief confidential meeting with him can escalate into something serious. Nevertheless, she attends the ball, once again dressed as the Baron. In the dimly lit garden, the Duke notices her presence and questions her about it. She explains that she grew weary of waiting in the garage and decided to take a walk. He listens but watches her closely, sensing something in her glance, wondering if she suspects him or believes he is lurking for some clandestine reason. The thought crosses her mind that perhaps he imagines she came to the garden to meet someone secretly, yet she knows that if anyone should be suspicious, it would be him, considering how unpredictable the Duke can be. He reveals that he has been searching for a blonde-haired man and asks if she has seen him. She responds calmly that she has not encountered such a person, a quiet answer that prevents any rumors of him meeting another woman from spreading. Assured by her reply, he resolves to look elsewhere, ensuring no further gossip arises from the matter. The ball draws her inside, where whispers ripple through the crowd. Guests cannot believe the Duke managed to prepare such a magnificent event entirely on his own. Someone comments that Countess Daisy must have assisted him. The Duke's grandmother, who is the late Duchess's younger sister, had indeed suggested Daisy help, given that the Duke has yet to marry. Daisy inquires whether everyone is enjoying the celebration. One lady observes that, considering the Duke's recent behavior, he may finally have intentions of marrying, to which Daisy admits her curiosity about who he will select for his first dance. Rose, watching from afar, reflects on the Duke's arrogance and feels a pang of pity for the woman destined to become his bride. Nearby, someone points out that the lady being discussed is Violet, noting her as the center of attention as always. Observers remark that Violet bears an uncanny resemblance to the Viscountess in her youth, and that she attracts many admirers. They speculate about whom she will marry, noting that the Duke has been dancing with Violet frequently and may have even organized the ball with her in mind. Her beauty leaves no doubt that he has developed feelings for her. The conversation shifts as some guests direct their attention to Rose's absence, questioning her mother about her well-being. Her mother assures them that Rose is resting at home due to not feeling well, and thanks them for their concern. Rose then turns her gaze, and their eyes meet, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. She excuses herself for a moment, attempting to move quickly through the crowd, but someone blocks her path. It is the Duke, who steps in, making it clear that he intends to dance with Violet first, asserting his presence and intentions in the ballroom. The two of them move gracefully across the ballroom floor, and onlookers murmur in delight, commenting that they make a truly exquisite pair. Across the room, Rose gasps sharply, her chest tight with anxiety from nearly being discovered earlier. The tension threatens to overwhelm her, and she realizes that if she remains here much longer, she may not survive the strain. Amid the hum of the ballroom, she catches fragments of conversation from nearby guests. One of them murmurs that the Duke appears particularly intriguing and formidable. When his voice had called her name earlier, they had been stunned, realizing that even those who had intended to propose to Violet stand no chance against him. They laugh quietly, remarking that no matter how lovely she is, even the daughter of a Viscount, the Duke will never actually marry her. Rose feels a surge of anger at their audacity. They have crossed a line. What makes the Duke so special, she thinks, and why is Violet, who is far too sweet and admirable, being idolized by him in such a way? Seething, Rose turns her attention back to the ballroom and sees the Duke and Violet dancing, their gazes locked in mutual affection. Her heart thunders painfully in her chest. The scene seems impossible. If the Duke truly intends to propose to Violet, what does that mean for her? What does that mean? Nearby, whispers suggest that the Duke plans to leave once the dance with Violet concludes, as many others wish for a turn with him. At that moment, the Duke approaches Rose, gesturing for her to meet him at a secluded point, a gesture that fills her with frustration and displeasure. Someone informs her that the Duke is calling for her, and with no room to hesitate, she steps out with him. He explains that he wished to speak with her somewhere quiet. She addresses him directly, asking if he intends to accept her investment with the grain. He confirms, but with a condition. He requests that she either sell her hometown to him or lend the land for his long-term use. He claims he cannot find a location more suitable than her hometown for his plans. Whichever option she chooses, he will pay an appropriate fee. Rose listens intently and realizes that his plan is to establish a business in her hometown. When he inquires about her opinion, she responds that the idea seems agreeable. They share a brief toast with their wine, and he notes that the formal paperwork can be completed at a later date. As they prepare to part ways, he guides her toward the garage, but before she can leave, he asks her to wait. Curious, she wonders what he intends to tell her. Looking her directly in the eyes, he states that he would like to see her properly dressed the next time, addressing her formally as Miss Rose. The words strike her like a thunderclap, leaving her momentarily stunned, heart-pounding in disbelief at the audacity of the statement. The carriage departs, and the Duke leaves as well, a faint smirk playing on his lips. His butler, curious, inquires whether he believes the situation was handled correctly. The Duke, with a measured tone, remarks that Rose is the one at fault. She should never have dressed as a man, no matter how desperate her circumstances were. When he had received her letter, written under the guise of a man, he had been aware of her deception. The butler, seeking to clarify, notes that upon investigating, It seems the individuals mentioned in Rose's letter are indeed connected to her family. They are the type who lack the pride typical of noble lineage, content instead to make their fortune through the sale of land. The Duke recalls that he had previously declined Rose's investment offer. The butler then points out that the Baron mentioned in Rose's letter is her grandfather. This confounds the Duke, for the Baron has long passed. The butler continues, explaining that his investigation reveals the Baron had only one daughter, the current Countess. This means the letter must have been sent by the eldest daughter herself. The Duke is taken aback, incredulous that she possessed the courage to write under a borrowed identity. He considers her far more audacious than he had originally assumed. Reflecting on the late Viscount, he muses that the man had been utterly inept in business, yet his daughter clearly possesses far greater acumen. The Duke cannot believe she would actually present herself in male attire. Such a ruse could have easily been exposed through even the most basic inquiry into her family. She is undeniably naive in some respects, but also remarkably daring. Meanwhile, poor Rose is trapped in a whirlpool of anxiety and self-reproach, spiraling as she comes to terms with the realization that he has known she was a woman all along. Her butler, attempting to assess her state, asks how things transpired, only for Rose to be further unsettled by the thought that he has been feigning ignorance the entire time, fully aware of her true identity. The memory sends shivers down her spine, as she recalls each moment with mounting dread. The following morning, Rose rises for breakfast, still moving sluggishly, her body and mind weighed down by the previous day's events. Her mother, concerned, asks if she is feeling better, having heard the loud commotion from her room the day before. Rose explains that she had been unwell, but assures her mother that she is now recovered. The mother beams with relief and affection, acknowledging the immense effort Rose has made to support their family, which has allowed them to enjoy such a lavish lifestyle. Rose, internally, reflects that her mother would be utterly shocked if she ever discovered the truth of her masquerade as a man. The mother then mentions that Violet danced with the Duke the previous evening. Both Sasha and Rose express their delight, pleased at the news. The mother laughs, recalling how envious everyone had been of Violet, while Rose is inwardly reminded that she had been present as well and knows all the details. Turning to Rose, Violet inquires what the Duke had said about her. She recounts that he had asked after Rose and had complimented her abilities, noting that she excels at business more than most men. Rose feels a flicker of unease, unsure whether this praise is genuine or a subtle jest at her expense. She contemplates whether she should be grateful that he has kept her secret, knowing the truth all along. Yet she reminds herself that it is not her place to comment, given that she had attempted to deceive him first. The mother, ever practical, notes that another ball appears to be on the horizon next month. Rose, eager to please, assures her mother that she can purchase as many dresses and pieces of jewelry as she desires, bringing genuine joy to her. Rose adds that Violet might soon receive a marriage proposal, prompting the need to spend lavishly, especially since the Duke has approved their investment. In Rose's mind, any further expenditure seems justified, for it is now a reflection of opportunity and celebration rather than mere frivolity. Her mother smiles warmly and remarks that if things are going so well, then Rose should also prepare to be married within the year. The statement shocks Rose to her core. Soon after, she finds herself exhausted as she is dragged from one appointment to another, measured and inspected while dresses are chosen for her. Her mother eagerly asks the designer what styles are popular these days. The designer explains that crimson hues are currently in fashion, though she personally believes Rose would look far more elegant in dark green or blue silk. Her mother immediately agrees and requests a dress in the suggested colors, lavish, layered, and adorned with plenty of ribbons. Poor Rose begs Violet for help, but even Violet is powerless in the face of their mother's enthusiasm. Their mother continues, raising her voice with excitement as she instructs the designer to make Rose's bust look as glamorous as possible, and to prepare an additional dress in red as well. Rose can only shake her head. Marriage is the last thing she intends to pursue. In fact, she is certain she will die if she ever attempts it. Across all her past lives, there has always been one common thread behind her early deaths: marriage. In her first life, she had been born an illegitimate daughter of a French count, and was executed on the very day of her arranged marriage during the French Revolution. In her second life, she was being sold as a concubine to an elderly man when foreign invaders stormed the region. She was shot and killed before the ceremony could even take place. In her third life, she was married off to a man she had never met, only to perish during the Korean War on the day of the wedding. In her fourth life, she finally believed she would be able to marry. She had met a man through a blind date and became engaged 3 months later. But before the wedding, another car accident claimed her life, ending everything just one ride before she could walk down the aisle. Every life had been lonely and short, even though all she ever wished for was a family of her own. Overwhelmed by the memories, she silently cries out to God, demanding to know why she keeps dying every time she tries to get married. Nothing in her lives has ever gone the way she planned. Why do other people get to marry multiple times, while she cannot even have a proper boyfriend without fate intervening? Before she died in her last life, she had begged the heavens, if this is all there is for her, if failure and repetition are all that await, then why force her to start over again and again? In response, God had asked if she truly wished to defy him. She recalls a blinding flash of light and wonders if it revealed the reason she could never fulfill her destiny. But the next words he spoke were swallowed by the roll of drums, and she never heard the full explanation. The final sentence she managed to catch was a command to get married. She still wonders whether he meant that the reason she kept dying in every life was precisely because she tried to get married. The moment Rose's mother gives birth to her, she begins to cry. The maid, concerned, asks what is wrong, and her mother responds that she feels deep sorrow for her daughter. How can this girl possibly have a proper life with such a face? She weeps further, imagining that anyone who believes she will marry one day is mistaken. The maid, trying to console her, remarks that the child resembles her father very much, yet the Viscountess only shakes her head, lamenting that the problem lies there. A newborn is rarely beautiful. She wonders who will have the courage to tell the child this truth. If God had given her a chance, perhaps it would have been different. Surrounded by doubt, she worries that no one will accept her daughter in marriage, yet she convinces herself that perhaps it is all for the better. At least Rose might live a longer, safer life because of her unassuming appearance. That is what she hopes. This belief holds until Rose finds herself alone during her debutante tent party, standing in solitude amidst the celebration. Convinced that she is destined for marriage, she reflects that perhaps it is all for the best, and silently vows never to attend another ball. Yet, now she finds herself at yet another gathering. Her mother, curious, inquires what she thinks of the Viscount of Familial. Rose considers him, acknowledging that he may be wealthy, but he is unmarried. She glances at the Viscount, pondering if he were just slightly older. Her mother, persistent, directs her attention to another man, then another, urging her to decide. Rose knows it is of no use. Neither she nor these men show the slightest interest in each other. She decides to comply with her mother's request for a while, pretending to consider the suitors, intending to yield soon. As she stands, observers begin to marvel at Violet, noting her extraordinary beauty and expressing their desire to dance with her. Yet, the competition is overwhelming. Someone casually asks about Rose's older sister, noting that she is present today. Another voice dismisses the idea, mocking that no one would wish to dance with such an ugly girl. Though they are sisters, one shines like a diamond, while the other is as plain as a pumpkin. Such words ignite Rose's frustration and reinforce her reluctance to attend balls. She questions why she must endure such cruel remarks. A lady calls out to a young man named Isaac, who promptly approaches and greets the Viscountess. Observing this, Rose stiffens, aware of the interaction. Her mother turns, gesturing toward her, and Rose finds herself being beckoned forward. Isaac, flustered, greets her hesitantly. The young man's mother praises Rose, noting that there is nothing she cannot master, be it etiquette, musical instruments, or other accomplishments. Rose's mother beams, affirming that her daughter has always been exceptionally clever, the pride of their family. Isaac's mother, impressed, nudges her son to ask Rose for a dance. He glances at his companions, laughing, aware of the challenge before him. Rose, distressed, wishes someone would stop the lady's insistence. She does not desire to be forced into dancing. At that moment, a figure arrives and calls out to Rose. It is the Duke. He requests the honor of being her first dance partner of the day. Rose feels a flush of embarrassment as her mother insists that she accept. Reluctantly, she offers her hand, and the music begins. They move gracefully across the floor. The Duke notes that Rose, skilled at horseback riding, demonstrates equal talent in dancing. Playfully, he first addresses her as Baron, then corrects himself, calling her Rose. She glares, commenting on his peculiar sense of humor, suggesting it would have been better had he revealed his intentions from the beginning. The Duke laughs, teasing that he never imagined a noble lady would appear dressed in such a manner. He lifts her slightly, making her blush, before allowing her to land gracefully. Applause rings out around them. The Duke smiles, enjoying the moment. Aware that such dancing is usually reserved for a debutante party, Rose pouts slightly, recalling how he once refused her request for investment simply because she is a woman. She had been desperate then, with no alternatives. The Duke clarifies that it was a misunderstanding. His refusal was not due to her gender, but because of the nature of her business activity. As a protector of their homeland, he cannot watch the land he has safeguarded with sweat and blood be sold recklessly. Initially, he had planned to embarrass her and dismiss her, but after speaking with Rose, he realizes she is unlike anyone he expected. He finds their conversation enjoyable and wishes to become friends. As the dance concludes, Rose bows. The Duke asks if she wishes to continue dancing with him. She is momentarily taken aback, wondering if he truly means it. Whispers ripple through the crowd as Rose contemplates whether he even realizes that only lovers typically engage in such an invitation. This is the most attention Rose has ever received, far surpassing anything from her past lives. Violet approaches, curious, asking what had just transpired. Everyone around them seems equally intrigued, whispering and casting glances, eager to understand what might be unfolding between Rose and the Duke. Rose, composed, assures her that there is nothing of note. After all, they are merely business partners who needed a moment to discuss some matters. Violet presses, inquiring if she means the shipbuilding business Rose intended to invest in. Rose nods, affirming that it is indeed related, yet she wonders quietly when she ever mentioned this plan to Violet. At that moment, someone steps forward and arrives at their side, asking if she is Rose. It is the Crown Princess's lady-in-waiting, Rena. Both ladies exchange greetings, though Rose catches herself wondering if Rena's smile hides a subtle laugh at her expense. Rena then shifts her attention to Violet, praising her beauty and noting that rumors have begun circulating about her and the Duke possibly marrying. Perhaps that is why he has danced twice with Violet, she thinks, finding the situation curious but not entirely surprising. Rena's curiosity is forward and unrestrained. She asks Violet directly whether the Duke truly proposed or if the whispers are merely idle speculation. Violet responds with a smile, asking if Rena truly needs an answer, causing Rena to flush with a mix of irritation and embarrassment. The tension between the two women is palpable, a silent clash beneath the polite exterior of the ballroom. Rose observes the subtle but pointed exchange, noting how openly hostile Rena has been over something as simple as a few dances. She cannot fathom the boldness and intensity of Rena's demeanor. If Violet voluntarily marries the Duke, Rose thinks, enduring such sharp-witted scrutiny will likely become exhausting. As murmurs ripple through the crowd, signaling the arrival of the Crown Prince, the atmosphere shifts. This is the second prince, someone Violet has never met in person, only in the painted portraits of royal halls. Rose shares her surprise silently. She never expected to encounter him here. Meanwhile, Violet admires the Duke anew, noting how effortlessly he stands beside the prince, commanding attention and respect, further elevating his aura. Violet contemplates the implications of her engagement to the Duke. Such a connection promises not only personal proximity to power, but also the opportunity to maneuver business affairs with greater efficiency. Rose realizes that remaining close to the Duke could indeed grant them swifter access to important information and allow their business ventures to flourish under the shield of royal favor. The Crown Prince, now close enough to address them, calls out courteously to the ladies. Both step forward to greet him with the proper reverence. Observing the interactions, the prince remarks that the rumors are indeed true, signaling that word of their engagements and connections has spread widely. In these moments, Rose notices how her father's prominence continues to anchor society's attention, as whispers of respect and admiration for his household ripple through the gathering. The ballroom hums with intrigue, anticipation, and the unspoken acknowledgement of new alliances forming in plain sight. The Duke then turns and introduces Rose as his eldest daughter. The moment she greets him and offers her introduction, the Crown Prince tilts his head and asks if she is that pumpkin. The Duke shoots him a sharp look, as do several others around them, and laughter ripples through the crowd. Rose herself is left dumbfounded, wondering what in the world had just happened. The Crown Prince explains that he has heard quite a lot about her from the Duke. Rose can scarcely believe her ears. Did he just call her a pumpkin? He continues, saying that he had heard she is very intelligent and had long wished to meet her. Rose cannot help but wonder whether he is merely curious to see how ugly she truly is. The Duke, clearly annoyed, motions for the Crown Prince to move along, glancing at Rose as she glares back, silently demanding what he just told the Crown Prince about her. Once they are at a short distance, the Duke confronts the Crown Prince, asking if that comment was truly why he wanted to meet Rose, and labeling it as utterly rude. The Crown Prince merely shrugs, explaining that after all, he had been told the girl had pumpkin-colored orange hair. During their meeting, the Crown Prince had inquired whether Rose's investment would be accepted, and initially, he had refused simply because she was a woman. The Duke tells the Crown Prince that he changed his mind after meeting her. The Crown Prince, with a teasing grin, asks if she is truly as ugly as the rumors suggest. The Duke responds curtly, questioning if that is all he is curious about. The Crown Prince explains he was simply envious, because the Duke had previously claimed he would never marry, yet he continues attending these balls. The Duke dismisses it, insisting their discussion was purely about business and that he has no intention of marrying anyone. The Crown Prince grins, relieved to hear it, and hopes that at least the Duke, of all people, wants change. Back at Rose's residence, Sasha bounces with excitement, asking if she too will get a chance to dance with the Duke. Rose quickly insists it was for no special reason, though Sasha persists, teasing that the Duke must think very fondly of her. All Rose can think, however, is that he is mocking her to the Crown Prince for how ugly she is. Rose turns to Sasha, asking what it is she wants to discuss. Sasha fidgets and stammers, finally blurting that she wants to attend Lenobia. Rose raises an eyebrow, clarifying if she means the School of Sorcery. Sasha nods eagerly, explaining that a friend currently at the academy told her she possesses a remarkable aptitude for magic. Rose counters, noting that their mother would almost certainly object. Sasha, however, asserts that it is Rose who is leading the family. Even as a woman, she refuses to become merely a good wife to a man. She wants to become a mage, a true force in her own right. Rose reflects that even if they were able to convince their mother, gaining acceptance to the academy itself would be far more difficult. A recommendation letter from someone of at least the rank of Marquis is required. Though she wishes to help, Rose realizes there is no simple path. Sasha brightens suddenly, suggesting that perhaps Rose could ask the Duke to write the recommendation letter. Rose's composure falters. The thought is daunting and entirely unexpected. Before she can respond further, a knock sounds at the door. The butler announces that she has a guest. Rose, puzzled, remarks that she has received no letters or prior notice. The butler calmly replies that the visitor is none other than the Duke himself. Rose freezes, her mind spinning. What in the world is he doing here? The Duke expresses that he hopes his sudden visit has not caused any offense, offering his apologies for not sending prior notice. Rose wonders inwardly why he arrived so abruptly, knowing that it is typically considered rude, yet he makes no inquiry about the absence of the others. She informs him that her mother and Violet have gone out and will only return around the evening. The Duke smiles reassuringly, stating that it is quite all right. After all, he is here to see her. Rose feels a rush of flustered emotions at his words, unable to comprehend the sudden intimacy of his attention. His gaze then shifts, observing that her younger sister bears a resemblance to Violet. Rose is momentarily confused until she notices Sasha peeking at them from nearby. The Duke, with a smile, requests if it would be acceptable for him to be introduced to Sasha, commenting that the family seems to be known for its beautiful women, affirming the truth in what he has heard about the Summers. Rose is taken aback, recalling the harshly playful remark he had made yesterday when he called her a pumpkin, and she finds it difficult to reconcile the sudden shift in his demeanor. Noticing the books around her, he inquires if they are from the royal library. Rose explains that the books are invaluable to her for managing the family business and that she enjoys reading them from time to time. He takes note of her evident passion for reading, reflecting that, in the past, a man had once considered a woman's love for books a costly and frivolous hobby. The Duke, however, assures her that reading is a magnificent pursuit, elegant and intelligent, one that shields a person from scandalous gossip and broadens the mind regardless of gender. This affirmation causes Rose's face to light up with joy as she realizes he shares her appreciation for literature. She speaks enthusiastically of the challenges of accessing books and the hope that, with advancements in printing techniques, books might one day become widely available, allowing everyone, from artists and critics to ordinary citizens, to enrich their lives. Lost in the excitement of their shared perspective, she hardly notices the passage of time, and the Duke is quietly impressed by how fascinating she is, acknowledging her capability to manage business affairs with competence. He muses that society would benefit greatly if women were afforded more opportunities to participate actively in its affairs, a sentiment that resonates deeply with Rose. At that moment, Sasha eagerly interjects, questioning the Duke's thoughts on young women learning magic. Rose instinctively tries to intervene, but the Duke gently halts her. He listens with interest as Sasha explains her desire to become a maid who can utilize magic, asking if he would consider writing her a recommendation letter for the School of Sorcery. Rose protests softly, urging her sister not to bother their guest, yet the Duke considers the request thoughtfully. He expresses that, provided Sasha has her family's approval, he would not mind writing the recommendation, though he suggests first determining whether she truly possesses magical talent, noting that he himself has some familiarity with magic. Encouraged, Sasha begins to demonstrate her skills, attempting to fill a cup with water using her magic, as instructed by the Duke. The room holds a sense of quiet anticipation, with all eyes observing closely to see if Sasha's abilities are sufficient to earn the promised recommendation. Rose watches, a mixture of hope and apprehension stirring within her as the moment unfolds. As Sasha's magic goes awry, the water intended to fill the cup splashes instead onto the Duke, drenching him unexpectedly. Both girls are struck with horror at the mishap, and Sasha immediately bolts away, apologizing profusely. Rose watches in anxious disbelief, worried that she might have truly angered the Duke. She notices a spark of irritation in his expression, yet the Duke soon reassures them, noting that despite the mishap, Sasha clearly possesses magical talent, and he will gladly write her a recommendation letter if she wishes. Flustered and unsure of how to make amends, Rose hurriedly presents him with towels, murmuring her apologies. She feels overwhelmed, uncertain where to look or how to properly convey her regret for the chaotic scene. Leaning closer, the Duke gently asks if she will forgive him for allowing the Crown Prince to make such a rude joke, revealing a side of the incident she had not considered. Rose realizes, with sudden clarity, that this was the source of his earlier unease. She muses to herself that indeed, whenever she encounters him, unexpected events always seem to follow. The Duke grins, his eyes reflecting amusement as he reminds her of the promise they made when she had been dressed as the banner. He will be waiting for the invitation to her hometown, a subtle but significant nudge that the 2 days since have not lessened his interest. Meanwhile, a few days later, Rose's mother moves among acquaintances, sharing the news that the Duke had recently visited their home. Violet had been absent and missed the encounter, but Rose had managed to entertain him admirably. Among the listeners, a woman mentions Daisy's upcoming party, a gathering exclusively for specially invited ladies and gentlemen, where even older unmarried women might find a chance at marriage if they attend. She suggests that it would be wonderful if Rose were present, igniting her determination to secure an invitation despite the challenges. Rose's mother, hearing this, feels a mix of surprise and irritation, scoffing at the apparent attention and care shown toward Rose by such high society. At that moment, the butler announces the arrival of a letter from the Duke, which reveals his desire to spend a short excursion with her children. Elsewhere, the Duke and the Crown Prince stand together, their conversation briefly interrupted by the arrival of Crown Princess Alicia. The Duke greets her with his characteristic composure, while Alicia, brimming with curiosity and a hint of suspicion, remarks that the rumors she has heard about him marrying a very beautiful woman must be true, noting the widespread attention his potential marriage has garnered. The Duke responds, mildly taken aback, that he did not realize she counted herself among those interested. Alicia smiles, maintaining her composure, and asserts that if someone were to become his lover, she would consider it her duty to regard her as a friend, hinting at her intentions with an air of dignified propriety. The word friend lingers in the Duke's mind, pulling him into a deep, contemplative silence. He wonders aloud to Alicia whether they can truly call each other friends. Alicia, in her usual candid manner, comments that he has a way of making many women cry, referencing Rena, the lady-in-waiting, who had been visibly distressed upon hearing the latest rumors. The Duke and Alicia share a brief, wry scoff at the notion, though he privately acknowledges that the second prince enjoys far greater popularity than he does. The second prince soon approaches and greets Alicia, slightly taken aback by her apparent interest only in the Duke's. He almost fears she has forgotten him, and his glare lands sharply on her as he addresses her as Crown Princess Alicia. She meets his glare with equal intensity, scoffing at him, suggesting he should find a suitable woman to marry before time runs out. The Duke, observing from nearby, notices her unusual amiability regarding the Crown Prince's potential marriage, a statement that seems to provoke a flash of defensiveness in him. Alicia, unflinching, points out that she has always prayed for him to find a noble lady suited to his status. The Crown Prince, snapping back, accuses her of being the very obstacle in his path to marriage. Without a word more, she turns and leaves, leaving the Duke visibly concerned. He casts a cautious glance at the second prince, who, in turn, fidgets nervously. The prince questions whether the Duke truly believes himself more popular, his words stirring a mix of irritation and amusement. He then inquires about the letters, emphasizing the urgency of retrieving all of them before the crown princess and her allies make any decisive moves. Playtime, it seems, has ended for Alicia, and matters grow more pressing by the moment. The scene shifts to the Duke in the garden, accompanied by the ladies. Sasha peeks around, her excitement palpable as she expresses her love for the place. Rose, still mindful of her youthful enthusiasm, asks the Duke for his forgiveness, acknowledging her exuberance. The Duke, ever patient, assures her that it would be a fine plan to drop by the academy if time allows. Rose, however, reminds him of their mother, who would worry if they returned late. The Duke reassures her, noting that the Viscount has granted them permission to stay out as long as they like today, allowing Rose to observe once again the meticulous care her mother seems to weave into every plan. Sasha, barely containing her excitement, remarks on the grandeur of the outing, while Rose quietly notes the peculiarity of how much had been packed for a seemingly simple stroll. On the water, the Duke and Violet share a boat, prompting Sasha to question Rose about the two of them. Rose muses that Violet would indeed be happy marrying the Duke, contrasting her sister's enthusiasm for marriage with her own lingering sense of emptiness. For Rose, marriage feels like an inevitable confinement, a life destined to end again in monotony, leaving her with a hollow ache she cannot easily dismiss. Rose instructs the butler to begin preparations in Dory, noting that it seems Violet will soon receive a marriage proposal, an event that would bring great honor to their family. Time slips by unnoticed, and it is only when the Duke gently reminds Sasha that, if they intend to visit the academy, they should depart immediately that they take their leave. The carriage carries them to the School of Sorcery, and Rose, ever mindful of proprieties, tells the butler to ready the manor in their hometown, as they intend to invite the Duke over. Curiosity strikes her about the local taxation system. The butler explains that the lands are barren, the population sparse, and farming nearly impossible. Most people, therefore, make a living through fishing, which falls outside taxable goods. Intrigued, Rose requests that the butler locate a law book on taxation upon their return. Back home, Violet yawns, apologizing to Rose for her fatigue. Rose smiles, insisting it is she who should apologize for speaking of work when they are supposed to be enjoying themselves. Noting that Sasha is taking her time, Rose asks if Violet would like to explore while they wait, but Violet, weary, chooses to remain behind. She inquires after the butler, who explains that he will join her once his documents are in order. Rose reflects on how impossible it would be to manage all this work without his help and decides to leave it to him, departing to enjoy a walk in the garden. As Rose wanders, strange noises make her shiver, prompting thoughts of retreat. When she turns back, she encounters a figure whose gaze is chillingly dangerous. Her heart races, something about him is profoundly unsettling. Panic grips her, and she begins to run, tears streaming, haunted by memories of her past life where she died young, before marriage. A hand suddenly reaches out, stopping her, and her eyes widen in surprise. She does not want to die. It is the Duke. He calls out to her, noticing her tears, and gently questions what has happened. A lady arrives on the scene, explaining that there seems to have been a trespasser. The Duke asks Rose if she is unharmed, and she reassures him that she is. He speaks to the Lady Maria, and they confirm that everything is fine before preparing to leave. Maria remarks on the peculiar nature of Rose, noting that this is the 5th time something like this has happened. Rose wonders what she means by the 5th time, but Maria offers only a cryptic wish that Rose may achieve what she desires this time. In the carriage, while everyone else sleeps, Rose's thoughts swirl. Did Maria somehow see the life she has lived? Did she truly wish for her to accomplish her heart's desires? Her mind is more concerned, however, with surviving this life without meeting an early death. Her eyes catch the window reflection, and she notices the Duke gazing at her as well. Meeting his eyes, she hears him remark on the beauty of the moon tonight. With a soft sigh, she agrees, allowing herself a rare moment of peace. After the Duke goes on a picnic with the sisters of Rose's family, rumors about him becoming engaged to Violet spread like wildfire. Curiosity stirs among those around him, as everyone wants to uncover the truth about his feelings. Countess Daisy, aware of the circulating gossip, extends an invitation to the 3 sisters for her party. Just as the rumors suggest, whispers abound. Will Waller truly be engaged to the Duke at Countess Daisy's gathering? Rose, observing the situation keenly, remarks to her butler that her suspicions are confirmed. The skirts collected from the sea were never meant to be part of the official table items list, which highlights the scarcity of resources in their hometown. where most people are employed in the fishing industry. Nevertheless, if they make use of these materials, there lies the potential to earn considerable wealth. Meanwhile, Violet plays casually with the Duke, unaware that Rose, turning her attention toward her butler, signals him quietly. Observing this, Rose notices the dynamic between Violet and the Duke, prompting her to reflect on how some things, like Rinna's behavior, have never changed. Her jealousy remains as apparent as ever. After her dance with the Duke, several ordinary men approach Rose, drawn by curiosity or admiration. However, before any significant interaction occurs, the Duke arrives, his gaze immediately fixed on her. He acknowledges her diligence and observes her with an intensity that makes her heart flutter. Rose explains that she must continue working hard to make her newly acquired territory manageable, largely due to the Duke's insistence on visiting her hometown soon, which leaves her no choice but to prepare. Her busyness, she realizes, is a direct consequence of his persistent urging. Violet soon appears and reassures the Duke not to mind her sister's words. She confesses that she initially did not wish to attend, being burdened by too much work, but her mother insisted on her presence. The Duke notices the reaction of a gentleman present, whose eyes seem to twinkle at the sight of Violet. Violet, ever the observer, interjects with a polite comment, noting that she hopes Violet's presence has not disrupted the gentleman's attention toward Rose. The gentleman, flustered yet courteous, insists that he is not distracted at all. Rose, watching the exchange, cannot help but think that this gentleman behaves just like the others, seeing her as a mere gateway they must pass to reach Violet. The Duke, quietly reflecting, notes the unfortunate circumstances. They are all compelled to attend this gathering, just as he himself was. Daisy steps forward to explain that the Duke initially refused to come, but his steadfastness left her with no choice but to insist on his attendance. Her words highlight the Duke's notorious reluctance toward marriage, which makes his eventual presence all the more telling. Flustered, yet obliging, the Duke introduces the sisters to Violet and Rose, formally presenting Countess Daisy as both his godmother and the gracious host of the party. Daisy, observing him closely, recognizes the tension in his demeanor and wonders silently whether his interest truly lies with Violet or with Rose. Rose, recalling the earlier ball, feels a wave of relief. She had feared that the Duke's sudden engagement might signal a change in his preferences, a shift that could alter everything. Now seeing him present and navigating the complexities of this social gathering, she feels reassured. She feels curious about the significance of the occasion. She also inquires quietly about the uniqueness of this party, noting that in this space, the attendees are not restrained by the expectations or oversight of their parents. In other words, each guest at the party is given the opportunity to discover their own silver special summon before retiring to their rooms once the festivities conclude. They are instructed to take a silver candle, hold it, and wait. If someone takes a romantic interest in them, that person will light their candle and extend an invitation for a date the following morning. Countess Daisy hopes that, through this tradition, each participant will encounter their special someone during the evening. Rose, however, feels conflicted. She does not wish to pursue someone if it means putting her own life at risk later. When Violet approaches her and asks whether she heard Countess Daisy's instructions, Rose reassures her that the Duke is not interested in marriage. She adds, with certainty, that he is absolutely head over heels for her. Violet, intrigued, questions whether Rose truly believes that. Rose simply hands her the candle, expressing her confidence, and passes it to Violet. She reasons that there is no reason for the Duke to be so kind to her otherwise. With that, she carries her own candle and walks away, though her eyes catch someone across the room. At the same moment, Violet also notices someone intriguing. Both sisters, silently ignited by curiosity and anticipation, are asked to meet their admirers in the garden the following morning. The next day, Trina rushes through the estate, anxiously wondering where he might be. She cannot comprehend why he has not yet realized she traveled all this way to meet him, yet she has not had a single opportunity to speak with the Duke. Her thoughts spin in frustration. Whose scandal did he attend to yesterday? Suddenly, her eyes land on the Duke himself. Determined not to return home without taking action, she dashes toward him. Before she can reach him, a familiar voice calls out, "Countess Daisy." She asks Trina why she is in such a hurry and suggests, with a gentle smile, that if she has not yet had breakfast, she might join her. With no other option, Trina agrees. Meanwhile, the Duke sits contentedly at a breakfast table, happily slicing a piece of bread. He slides the dish towards someone across from him and remarks lightly that the morning meeting is not so unpleasant after all. To Trina's surprise, The person seated opposite him is Rose. Rose glances around, her eyes searching for Violet. She had expected her sister to be here as well, yet Violet is nowhere in sight. The Duke, observing her restlessness, speaks with a calm but deliberate tone, mentioning that there is something he wanted to ask her the last time they met, but never had the opportunity to. That is why he called her out here alone. Rose wonders silently what he could possibly want to ask. He directs the conversation toward the day they went on the picnic together, asking if she remembers what the individual of the academy looked like. Rose replies that she was unable to see him clearly at the time because it was dark, though she does recall that he had blonde hair falling over half of his face. She studies the Duke as he listens and notices a hint of dullness in his expression. A question flickers in her mind. Perhaps the person he saw reminds him of someone. He admits that he is not sure, and an awkward silence settles between them. Rose senses that he does not wish for her to press further. She reflects bitterly that this is the same man who had approached her unexpectedly yesterday, yet now he seems determined to establish a boundary between them. Fine, she decides to herself. If that is the case, he is nothing more than a prospective husband for her sister or a business associate. Nothing more, nothing less. Changing the topic, she informs him that they have completed preparations for hosting guests in her hometown. If he lets them know when he plans to visit, they will be ready to receive him properly. He responds that it is good to hear and adds that he will likely drop by sometime this week. A few days later, at her hometown, Rose is seen riding her horse, adding a touch of comfort to her attire by wearing pants. She knows her maid will likely scold her for such a choice, yet the practicality appeals to her. The location is perfect for establishing a shipbuilding business. The waterfront and open space provide ideal conditions. As she surveys the area, she notices someone swimming in the water. Upon closer inspection, she realizes the person is not simply swimming but is collecting something. As Rose prepares to return, she witnesses a troubling sight. A man attempts to snatch the fish nest from the girl in the water.